I used to believe that discipline was the tool of greatness, the thing that would finally pull my life together, the thing that would shape me into someone that I can respect. But nobody ever mentioned the parts that do not make it onto the screen. The nights that feel heavier than they should, the silence that follows you around everywhere, the pressure to always be better, even when the body feels tired, the mind feels tired, and the soul feels tired. I always saw the results, the bodies, the cars, the routines that look perfect from far away, but one thing that I never saw was the weight that comes with trying to be that person. I never saw the loneliness, the frustration, the way discipline can slowly turn into obsession, how pushing myself becomes running from myself. There were days where I didn't even feel like I was growing anymore. I was just grinding, forcing progress, forcing focus, forcing everything. And in the middle of it all, I realized something I never thought I would even admit. Discipline doesn't just build a person, it tests them, breaks them, exposes every crack that they tried to hide. That's the part nobody talks about, the part I had to find on my own. I think back to the period where I was the most disciplined I had ever been. Every day felt the same. Gym, work, sleep, repeat. Gym, work, sleep, repeat. A routine so strict it almost felt mechanical. And on paper it looked perfect. I was improving, growing, building the things that I cared about. But the reality underneath was nothing like the version I projected into my head. I wasn't going out. I wasn't meeting anyone new. I wasn't even speaking to the people I already had in my life. It was just me, grinding in silence. And even though I was so proud of the progress, that period of my life was not happy. It wasn't peaceful. It felt like running on a treadmill inside an empty room. At school, I stayed to myself. I walked alone at lunch, sat alone in class. It became normal. But normal doesn't always mean healthy. I kept telling myself that I was the lone wolf, that solitude was necessary, that isolation was strength. But deep down I knew it. It was hurting me more than it was helping. Humans aren't built to exist on islands. We break without connection, we shrink without conversation, and even if nobody seemed to relate to what I was doing, it didn't mean I had to shut myself away from everyone. Looking back, I can see how much that loneliness had changed me. Not by making me stronger, but by making me everything colder, quieter, heavier. Discipline gave me the progress, but the isolation that came with it made me feel smaller than ever. And if I'm being honest with myself, this is the part of discipline no one is prepared for. The quiet frustration that sits in the background of everything. It's a cold night in December as I'm writing this, and I've been grinding my YouTube channel for months, putting in hours, staying disciplined, doing everything right. And yet, I can't seem to shake this feeling that nothing is moving, nothing is changing, nothing is paying off. It's strange how discipline teaches patience, but tests it more than anything else. Showing up every day with no results might just be the most painful part of the whole journey. Not the early mornings, not the sacrifices, maybe not even the loneliness, but the silence, the feeling of giving everything and receiving absolutely nothing back. And the worst part of it all, even if something did happen, it still wouldn't feel like enough. There's always that pressure to just do more, be more, achieve more. As if the person I am right now is never quite acceptable. And deep down, I know where that comes from. It's insecurity disguised as ambition, a fear of not being good enough, even when I'm doing everything I can. But this is where the small things matter. Gratitude journaling, stepping away from social media, the habits that keep the mind grounded when the world feels like it's spinning too fast. I won't pretend I have it all figured out because I don't. I still have so far to go on my journey, but I'm learning to trust that the frustration has a purpose, that every plateau, every silent session, every moment when nothing seems to be happening, it's shaping me into someone who can handle what comes next. Everything that feels stuck is, in some strange way, helping me grow. So the point of all this was to never say that discipline is bad, because it absolutely is not. It's one of the few tools that can genuinely reshape your entire life. But even the sharpest of tools can become dangerous when it's used without control. What I'm starting to understand is that discipline means nothing if it isn't sustainable. Short bursts of intensity feel impressive in the moment, but they never outlast the quiet, steady rhythm of long-term consistency. And that's what I want. Not a life built on sprints, but a life built on returning. Coming back to the work again and again, without destroying myself just to feel like I'm moving. There's a line in The Way of the Superior Man which has stayed with me. Always live beyond your edge. Not miles past it, not so far outside your comfort that everything will collapse, but just beyond it. Just enough to grow without breaking. And maybe that's the balance that I've been missing. The place where discipline doesn't have to isolate me, but instead it becomes something that supports the life I actually want. I'm still figuring it out, and I probably will be for a long time, but maybe that's the point. Growth isn't supposed to be this perfect upward trajectory, it's supposed to be continuous. The path of personal development was always yours. Now, it's just time to walk it.